Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. Welcome to another live session of what I do every week. Today's topic is going to be about how to bring the opposites sides of you into harmony, how to bring opposite sides of you into harmony. There is an I Ching hexagram called opposing. And those opposing energies, there's a reason for opposing energies. And we want to talk about those opposing energies within you and how you can bring them into harmony and balance so that you can get better results in your life. So that is the topic for today. And if you have any questions about this topic as we move along in this live session, please ask at any time, and I will be taking breaks throughout the session to answer your questions. So today's topic is how to bring the opposite sides of you into balance and harmony to have more success in your life, to have better results. Hi, Nijira. Welcome to the live session. Welcome to the live session. Okay, so let's clear the energy of the room. I've got an itch over here. Sorry about that. I've got a little itch. Let's clear the energy of the room and then we'll get started. Hello, Nicole. How are you? Welcome. Nick, welcome. Okay, so let's just breathe naturally. Take a few breaths in and out. Just be present in the now and just relax. Dear God, angel, spirit guides, ascended masters, divine creator, thank you so much for allowing us to create this sacred space. Thank you so much for allowing us to have this discussion on the topic of how to bring the opposite sides of us, the opposing energies within us, into harmony and balance so we may have better results in our lives, more success in our lives. Thank you so much for allowing us to have this engaging session with among each other, to share wisdoms, to share conversations, to share discussions in a lively and positive manner, that we are all supporting each other. Thank you so much for sending us these wisdoms, messages, guidance, so that we may have better results in our life. Thank you so much for allowing this session to go off without a hitch. Thank you for allowing removing any low frequency energies that do not belong in this room, that do not serve the highest and best interest of the souls in this room. Thank you so much for allowing this session to go off with peace, serenity, and lots of wisdom and flow. Thank you. And so it is. Namaste. Okay. Hi, Nicole. How are you? Okay. So today's topic is how to bring the opposite sides of you into harmony. And so we all have opposite sides to us. Some of us may have opposite sides to us that are more extreme. Of us may have it to less extreme, and when you get into the extreme side, that's going into range of schizophrenia, where you're really, really opposite. And when you're at that extreme, that is when you need probably you need some intervention, professional intervention. But most of us are not, we're not schizophrenic. We're not that extreme, but we do have opposite sides to each and every one of us. And so it might be we have the opposite sides of introvert and then extrovert. We may have opposite sides where there are times when we could be very compassionate and there are times when we could be very cold, right? So we all have these opposite sides to us. And so how do we harmonize and balance those sides and know when to put forth one side over the other side in different situations so that we could get better results in our life? And we can get better results, whether it's money, career, business, relationships. That is what we're trying to do. And those two sides, which is really like the yin and yang, they are there for a purpose. You can't have the yin without the yang. You can't have the yang without the yin. You can't have light without the dark. You can't have dark without the light. You can't have vegans without the meat eaters, and you can't have meat eaters without the vegans. See, there's a reason why the vegans exist. The vegans exist because they're meat eaters, right? And so there would be no such thing as the veganism movement without without the movement of the meat eaters, or even politically. We wouldn't have the Democrats if we didn't have the Republicans, and vice versa. So there's a purpose to both sides of the coin. And so how do we apply that in our lives, in our daily lives, and make it practical so that it gives us better results? Because when you know in which situation you bring forth a certain aspect of you, then you will get better results because that situation needed more of a yin energy, or that situation needed more of a yang energy. That situation needed more compassion, or that situation needed more of a coldness, more of a setting boundaries, or that situation needed more of an introvert did energy, and or that situation needed more of an extroverted energy. You see how it depending on what the situation calls for, there's an appropriate response using one of the two energies, more of the whether it's more the yin or maybe more it's the yang. And so in the I Ching, they call it the opposing energy. And this is the opposing energy, is that it's not really opposing each other. It feels like it might be, or on the surface, it looks like it's opposing, but when you get to a deeper level, it's really not opposing. It's really in harmony. So the yin and yang energies are not opposing. They seem like it, the black and white, but as they come together like this, then it creates the full circle. And the full circle is in harmony. The full circle is in balance, right? So when the yin yang, that's why when the yin yang energies come together, it creates that full circle. And that full circle is that harmony and balance. So these opposing energies that they say in the I Ching is not really opposing. It's actually complementary. And so once you have that understanding that it's complementary as opposed to opposing or with fighting with each other, then you will see how you create flow in your life, how you create more abundance, how you create more prosperity, how you create better results in your life. And so that's really the crux of what we're going to talk about today. And the next part is to talk about how can we apply this principle in our practical lives? How can we use these opposing, quote unquote, opposing energies that seemingly seem opposite, but that really are complementary? How can we use it and apply it on a practical sense into our lives? And so that is the topic for today. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Please let me know what the questions are as we're going through this. Okay, so the next chapter of this discussion is about, okay, how do we apply these opposing energies? They seem opposite. Moon, I'm introverted and I'm extroverted, and I could be very introverted and I could be very extroverted. That's actually very much me. I'm a real hermit, yet I could be very extroverted. And so in order for me to sustain my energy, I'm in human design, I'm a generator. But so I'm supposed to have a lot of energy, but there are times when I feel really run down. As a generator, when do I know to be more introverted and when do I know to be more extroverted? That's the secret. When do I apply the extrovert situation and when do I pull back and become more of an introvert? And so this is where we have to start to understand and read the situation, read the room, read ourselves, read the situation. What is going on in the situation? What does it call for? Okay, so I know that when I'm in a room full of people and there are experts in the room, and for example, I was in a Zoom meeting yesterday with incredible engineers, meaning software engineers. And engineering is not my thing, you know. I'm the first one to say that I don't really know much about engineering or technical things. And so, because it was really a conversation about engineering, hardcore engineering, that is where I'm going to become more of an introvert. I'm going to pull back. and I'm going to listen intently to the experts, what they're saying to each other. That's when I'm going to become much more of an introvert because it's not I'm impeding in the flow of that conversation if I keep interrupting or if I keep trying to pretend that I'm an engineer. I'm never going to pretend that I'm an engineer. So, in order for that meeting to go with flow without a hitch, and we had limited time, it's not like, we had half an hour of call because everybody's so busy. It's my time to become pulling back, become more introverted, and listen, 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 listen. Where I could be more, in what situations where it would serve me for the highest and best good of for my life, where can I be more extroverted? In what situations where would I be more extroverted? I would be extroverted maybe if I went to a conference and I was trying to seek out strategic partners that could align with what we're doing with the AI platform that we're building with Chinese medicine, to find those strategic partners, whether it's an advisor, whether it's a strategic partner for a software company, whether it's whatever. There's strategic partners that come together for the win-win for both parties. And then that is when I would be more extroverted because I would want to talk to people and figure out what the exchange is, figure out if they are the right strategic partners that are truly aligned with our mission, our goal, our business model, our business plan. Are they aligned with what we are doing with this AI platform? So I need to talk to people to see who the strategic partners are that are aligned. And so I will be more of an extrovert and I will be happy to be an extrovert. And so it's really reading the room, reading the situation. And as you're engaging with people back and forth, you've got to also gauge that the energy of the person that you're talking with. Is the energy of the person that you're talking with somebody who is just speaking for the sake of speaking, who just wants to be right for the sake of being right? Or is this person that you're engaging with, are they more of a narcissist? Are they mindful? Do they Are they saying something that has meaning and substantive, or are they just saying things and it's vacuous? That's something that you have to engage because then you would also know in that particular situation whether you're going to listen more or whether you're going to speak more. Because God gave us 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. And the 2 ears is so that we could listen and gauge the situation, gauge that person's energy. What type of person is that person? And what does that person bring to the table? That's why we have 2 ears and one mouth, because you really want to observe and listen more than you really do want to speak. Now, if the person that I'm speaking with is doesn't have much to offer, but is saying a lot of things, but I can tell from what they're saying that they're just kind of puff. It's just all puff. I'm going to probably retreat more and not say as much because I don't want to expend my energy on this exchange. Because I could see that I'm never going to be able to create a true alignment with this person or this company. There's no real true alignment there because this person just wants to be right all the time, doesn't really want to hear what other people have to say. And so that means that's the time for me to pull back, for me to really pull back and say, okay, I don't want to expend more energy, more time with this person. So I'm going to go more introverted and I'm going to give the person whatever, a few more minutes, and then I'm going to politely walk away. So that's an introvert. That's a time to use the introverted energy. Now, when is the time that I might use a more of an extroverted energy? Well, if I know that there is a strategic partner and I have this platform that I've developed, this AI platform, and I know there's a customer that could truly use this platform and I know it's a great alignment, I would be more of a salesperson where I would talk about the platform and it would be appropriate to show all the features, what it can do. And then at that point, when I feel like there's an alignment because this person, this company, or this person that's representing the company needs this product. And I know that my platform has the tools to support what they need, then I'm going to be more extroverted because I'm going to talk about the product, not in a cheap car salesman way, but to really show the real value of what we've built, what we've developed for your type, my customer profile. That we have listened to you for many months and we have now built this platform to support your challenges, your pain points. And so that's when I'm going to speak more because I know there's a true alignment there. And that there's something, if they understand what the tools and features are in a more profound way, because I've talked about it, then they will receive and they will want to use our platform. So the extrovert will come when need to be more of a salesperson, but in a meaningful way, not a cheap car salesman person, but a salesperson that is truly offering value to their customer. So that's when I would be more extroverted. So you see how so you're exercising those yin and yang energies in those two different situations that I just explained. Because what it is you don't want to expend energy where you shouldn't be expending energy. That's when you want to go more yin. And when you should be expending more energy, taking more action, being more out there, being more extrovert, that's more yang. So that's a great example of where you're introverted or extroverted. There's another example that I want to give about introvert and extroverted, and I think this is an example that's great for when you're in a party situation. You know how when you're invited to a party and there might be 20 people at this dinner party, or 30 people, or 12 people at this dinner party. When, there are some people who just tend to be more introverted, right? They're shy. They don't like to go up to people. And then there are people that you see in the party, they're the life of the party. They're cracking jokes, everybody's laughing, people are around them, right? And so now you're more of an introvert, but let's say you have a desire to meet people. You have a desire to talk to people and engage with people, even though you're naturally an introvert, right? So the thing is you don't want to be inauthentic to who you are, but you don't want to be, you don't want to go out and be like the life of the party because that's not truly who you are. You are more naturally of an introvert. That's who you are. So we're not trying to tell you to be something that you're not. We want you to be authentic because that is the only way to live. So we're not going to ask an introvert to be the center of the party. But in that case, but that introvert does want to meet people and does want to exchange. There's a way that the introvert can do that without being the extrovert. Is that there's a balance that we can strike that yes, I'm an introvert and I'm going to politely, I'm going to allow the universal's forces to, I'm going to trust that that I'm going to meet the people that I'm supposed to meet in that party. I don't have to meet every person, but I trust and I set the intention that whoever I should meet, I'm going to meet and have organic conversations. I'm not going to try to force conversations. I'm going to allow organic conversations to happen. And when you set that intention that you're going to allow things to be in the flow, you set the intention that, yes, I want to meet more people, but people who align with me, and you set that intention, what the universe does is brings you the people that are aligned with you. So if you're more of an introvert and you're in a party, but you want to meet people and you set the intention, you know what? I know going into this party, I'm going to meet fabulous people and I'm going to meet the people that I should meet. It's going to come and the conversations will happen natural, organically. You know what's going to happen? You're at the drink table and somebody's going to come up to you and say, "Hi, my name is so and so. What is your name?" And that person will literally come up to you and strike a conversation, and you're like, wow, this person is nice. This person came up to me and, asked, shook my hand and introduced him or herself and, started a conversation. And now, wow, and we discovered that we have a lot in common. We have hobbies in common, we have interests in common. So, for in that situation, there's a balance there. You're an introvert. You're not going out trying to shake everybody's hand. What you're doing is you've set an intention out there, and the universal forces brought you the right person to have meaningful conversations because you don't want fake conversations. You want to have authentic, meaningful conversations. So that's where that balance comes in, where you're still an introvert, but you're exercising your extrovert characteristics with this conversation, this natural organic conversation that you're having with this person that has come up to you and say, hello, my name is so and so, and this is what I do." And you start having striking conversation about your interests, your hobbies, and next thing you know, you've talked to them for half an hour. And that one person that you've met is quality. You're not looking for quantity, you're looking for quality. And so if you met one person in a party where there's 20 or 30 person, and that one person you spoke with for 30 minutes and nobody else, you didn't really like get to engage with other people, that is okay, because that one person that you met is quality. You're looking for quality, not quantity. Okay, so I don't know if anybody, so let's take a break and then I'll give you another example that I think is important. So let's take a break and see if anybody has any questions here. Hi, Nicole. Nicole says, there is fear in the opposing side that I view as negative. I would love to hear more about how I can change this view. That's a really good question. Really good question. Okay, I agree. I know exactly what you're saying. Because there is good and evil. Like there is such thing as a good and evil, right? Good and evil, right? And nobody wants to bring evil. If somebody is, you know, committing crimes, there's an opposing energy there that, they're stealing, they're creating theft, they're doing this, they're doing that to people. There is an opposing energy to that, right? What it is this is that it's not that you're being naive, that there isn't that opposing energy that could potentially do you harm. You're not going to be naive to that, right? But you're not going to obsess over it, because obsessing over it will bring that energy, bring that energy into your experience. So what you want to do is, this is where again we're exercising that balance and harmony of the opposite, is that we are acknowledging that there is such energy there out there, but we're not going to obsess about it. We're going to take the steps. We're going to keep ourselves, we acknowledge it, we're aware of it. We're going to take certain steps to protect ourselves, but we're not going to go overboard. We're not going to obsess about it where it creates stress, anxiety, and create fear, where you feel debilitated. That's the balance here. Is that, yes, let's say you're thinking, you know what, there are people who is gonna, there's crime is up, and there's so many people that, so many people are getting broken in. They're breaking into homes, and you have a home. Okay, I acknowledge that and I'm aware of it. And I'm going to take a couple of steps to protect myself. Maybe I'll put an alarm system. Maybe I'll put cameras, right? So you've taken some proactive steps. And after I've done those things and I've taken those proactive steps, and I'm not going to obsess over, I'm not going to live in fear. Because if you live in fear, you're creating that momentum and you're drawing that experience in. And so what you're doing is you're acknowledging it, you're taking steps to protect yourself, but you're not obsessing over it. And knowing that those, and then you can say, you know what, I understand that the people out there that are doing crime, there's a purpose to that. There's the other side of the coin. If we didn't have crime, we wouldn't have the police. We wouldn't have the military. we wouldn't have these people that protect us. The reason why we have it is because we have the crime, right? If there was no crime, there would be no pr- uh, protective agencies like the police or the military, right? So you see why there's a purpose to both, is that you have the police and all these people that protect you because you have the crime. If you didn't have the crime, you wouldn't have that. So again, you want to put it into perspective about why that the universal forces is a bigger picture. And so you want to remind yourself that everything has a certain purpose. And so it's like even the politics, you see the two parties, right? They're there to balance each other. If you had one party that ruled constantly, if you had just one party, then there wouldn't be another party to be able to challenge that. The reason why we have two-party system is to be able to challenge, because otherwise one party system might abuse the power. So we're always there to challenge and to balance it out. So instead of getting really upset, say, "Oh, I understand that this is a balancing act. I understand that they're doing wrong. The people who are committing crimes, I'm not condoning their behavior, but I understand why that there's those energies out there, because so that the good energy is here. The good energy is here because what you might call, I say low frequency energy, what you might call negative energy exists. And without that negative energy, then the higher energy would not exist. And so, and then, and nobody's saying that you should be naive. What we're saying is you want to have an awareness and acknowledge it, and then you want to take steps to protect yourself, but and then you let it go to the universe. You say, I've done all the steps that I could to protect myself, to protect my home from crime, which is I put security, I put camera, I put an alarm system that's connected to the police, and now I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to obsess about it. I'm going to keep moving my life forward. So that's that balance. You see how you've just created that balance? Okay, Nicole, you have another question. I often ask the universe to bring in people for my highest good that will have a positive effect on my path. Anyone else is a distraction. That's a very good intention. That's a very good thing. What you've done is to ask the universe, please say the intention out loud every day. Thank you for bringing in the people into my life that is for my highest and best good. Thank you for allowing me to meet high frequency people for my highest and best good. And please remove low frequency people, individuals, and situations that do not serve the highest and best good. So that's a beautiful thing we're saying. Nijira. Nijira says, I'm also like you. I'm an introvert and also an extrovert, depending on the situation. Yes, Nijira, we have a lot of things in common. I would say the essence of me is actually an introvert, like the essence, but I could be a real extrovert when I need to be and in situations that I know is appropriate. So you have to know when to apply those energies in what situations, because different situations will require more of the introvert energies and other situations will require more of an extrovert energy to have more better results and have more success in your life. Okay, so the next example that I want to talk about, and if you have more questions, please let me know, is the opposing energy that the opposites that I think many of us, and I have it within myself, and I think a bunch of us have it, is that we have the side of us that's compassionate, and then we also have the side of us that's not so compassionate. And I think this is a really important topic to discuss about these compassion and non-compassion, where someone may seem cold. And it's important to, I would say, setting healthy boundaries. But some people might take it as someone being cold. Excuse me. My throat is kind of dry. And so, what I would say is it's really important to recognize those two parts of yourself and when to exercise compassion and when to exercise boundaries. And this is where I think a lot of us fail in our lives is we don't know when to exercise that part of ourselves that's more compassionate and or pull back when we need to. And so sometimes when we have a part of ourselves that's compassionate, people could take advantage of us because they see that this person is compassionate, so compassionate to the point where you might shoot yourself in the foot. And I have seen this in many people, and they have given because they're so compassionate and they don't get anything in return. And it's an imbalanced energy. And then ultimately, they end up getting screwed. They end up losing things, losing money, losing even relationships, losing respect from other people because they're too compassionate. Because maybe they're so desperate to be liked, they're so desperate for some companionship. It's a desperation energy of, and also a compassion combined with desperation energy that makes them so compassionate to the point where now they've shot themselves in the foot. And this is something that we have to really watch out for so that you're not taking advantage of. That's what we want to prevent because compassionate people could easily be taken advantage of from people who are not compassionate, people who have more energy of non-compassion versus more energy of not having compassion will take advantage of people who have a high energy of compassion. Because if you give, and you don't receive, think about it. That's an imbalanced energy. So it's all outgoing and nothing's incoming. If it's all outgoing and nothing's incoming, then that's a complete imbalance and something's going to go awry. And so this is where we get to exercise these two sides of us, compassion and setting boundaries. Some people will say, "What? Well, that's an ice person or a cold person." It's not true. It's that you're exercising healthy boundaries. So, for example, if somebody wants to, I know that sometimes families and money, for instance, families and money. So you may have, maybe it's a father-daughter relationship, or it could be, who knows what the relationship, parent-child relationship, or sibling relationships. And let's say one person has money or has more money than the other person, and the other person has never really made money. Maybe the other person is more of a gambler. Every time that they've gotten some money in, they've gambled it away. And I have somebody in my family like that. And I'm not going to name names, but I do have somebody, a distant relative that has never held a job. But whatever money that has been taken in, his wife made the money. His wife has the business, and he takes her money and he gambles it away. And she keeps making the money and he keeps taking it and gambling it. Turns out that she got she passed away of cancer, and he took all the money, and eventually all the money, the money from the home, he sold the home, the business, and he ultimately gambled it all away and went to his daughter who he doesn't have any relationship with. They don't have any good relationship, and asked her for the money. And she gave it to him. So you see where, because she had compassion that now he doesn't have any money. He gambled, even though they don't even have a good relationship. She had so much compassion for him and his situation that she actually gave him money so that he could gamble that away. So at that point, it's not compassion, it's enabling. And we don't want to be doing that. So there's that fine line between compassion and setting healthy boundaries. What would have been better is if she had set healthy boundaries and said no, because he's going to gamble that money away too, right? So it's not healthy for her and it's not healthy for him because you're just enabling more bad behavior and you're being taken advantage of. And so this is where the compassion and non-compassion, those opposing energies, you have to exercise with prudence, with mindfulness, with thoughtfulness. If you're going to give and be compassion, are you putting your compassion in the right place? Because if you're putting compassion in a place where it's not going to be received well, then you're wasting that compassion. You want to exercise compassion where it's really being received well, where the person truly needs the help and needs the help to get back on their feet. And you're helping them because you know that they want to do the right thing and they're going to do the right thing, but they need the help right now. They need the money. They need the help right now to transform their life into a better life. So that exercising compassion in that situation is a beautiful thing. But if you're giving away this compassion and that person is really just a user or taking advantage of people all the time, then it's misplaced. Your compassion is misplaced. And it will do that person more harm and you harm because now, you've lost this money and you haven't really helped anybody. So think about that. That's a lose lose. It's a lose for you, it's a lose for the other person because that person is just going to gamble it away or waste it away. So, those are two examples of the compassion of those opposing energies, when to use it and when not to use it. You use compassion when the other person is ready to receive it in a meaningful way and is grateful for your helping them, is deeply grateful and deeply appreciative that you have helped them. That's when you use it. But if you're using it for somebody who is going to take advantage of you all the time, then that compassion is misplaced. That's where you have to start to set the boundaries. And it feels cold. It could feel cold. It could feel very cold, but it's not. You're actually doing that other person a favor by not enabling that person, and you're doing yourself a favor because you're not wasting your compassion, okay? So that is one example of these opposing energies. When to use it and when. And think about it. If you use the compassion and non-compassion during the right time, think about how you bring everything into balance and harmony, right? Those are two sides of you that you can totally bring into balance and harmony. That in this situation, I can be compassion. In this situation, I have to set boundaries that feel like I'm not compassion, but it's the right thing and it brings these energies into balance. Okay. Hi, Niger, you have a question. Okay. Before my spiritual awakening, I had that depression, compassion, desperate compassion. I was seeking external validation. I quit that behavior. Congratulations, Najira, for quitting that behavior. How do I assist without enabling when relatives ask me to buy them alcoholic drinks and lunch, but I decline? Okay. One of the ways that you could easily assist somebody like that is send them prayers. Send them prayers because they're on their soul's journey that the divine is aware of. And so you say, Dear God, dear angels, dear divine, please, I ask you to help and guide the soul. You can name the person to their highest and best good. Show them to their light. Show them to the path. Lighter, guide them. Show them. I know that you have ways to take care of them and oversee them, and I ask you to please help them and guide them. And I pray over their soul. I pray over their journey. I pray over that they may see the light. They may be guided to the right track. So you pray over them. You pray over them. And the other way that you might be able to help them if they are ready. Now, if they are not ready, there's nothing you could do to help them. But if they really truly want to change, then maybe you could recommend a facility, recommend somebody like if it's an alcoholic, recommend an AA group, meeting group, recommend, give them, send them, email them resources, something like that, or guide them to resources. But they have to be ready. That's the thing. You could send them and guide them to all the resources out there, but if they're not ready, again, you're not really exercising compassion. They have to really be ready for change. So you pray over their journey and their soul, and you ask the divine to please help them to get on the right track and to guide them to their highest and best good. That's a beautiful thing to do is pray over them for their highest and best good. Okay? Nicole Williams, it's a continual practice for me to set boundaries when I never had them in the past. Yes, exactly. It's a practice. Trust me, I know how hard that could be because I've seen many people not set those boundaries and they've been taken advantage of, but they haven't really helped the other person. Like, when you're being compassionate and the other person isn't really ready for change, it's not helping you and it's not really helping the other person. So it's a lose-lose. You want a win-win here. You want to help somebody that is ready to receive it. That's a win-win. So you want to make sure. So it's a practice. So I would say for you, Nicole, is if somebody's asking you a situation, like asking you for help, right? And they've asked for, you should just pause. You should pause and say, is this compassion that I'm showing to this, that I'm going to show by giving them the money, is it truly helping that person? Is it truly getting them off their feet so that they could truly make a transformation? Or if I give them this money, are they just going to waste it away? So you pause, and you think about it, and you will come to a conclusion. You will know. You will have a real intuitive sense if your compassion is really helping the person or not. If you believe that it's going to help the person, then of course do it. But if you believe it's not really going to help because they're going to stay the same, then that's when you pull back. And that's when you create healthy boundaries. And you say, you know what? I'm going to refrain from helping this person for their highest and best good. And I ask the divine, please guide them, send them prayers, send them best wishes from afar, send them. Ask the divine to help them. Ask the spirit team, their spirit team. Say, if your friend's name is, let's say, Tom, I ask Tom's spirit team, please be with him and help him and guide him through this journey. So that is the best way. So you can make that determination whether your compassion is really helping somebody or not. Uh, how to deal with the wrath of people you refuse to lend them money. Okay. Well, there's a famous quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, "You can only be bothered by what you allow to be bothered." So if somebody is spewing something at you, you have a choice. You can either let it, I mean, if you could either let it sit and you can absorb it and let it bother you for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, or you could say, you know what, I know that this is not my thing, it's your thing, and I'm not going to allow it to bother me. Or it could bother you for maybe a day, but after that, you get over it. You say, you know what? Because yeah, when somebody's screaming at you, it's not pleasant, right? Nobody likes it. Nobody likes being screamed at, right? Or having, bad energy, put forth on them. Nobody likes that. So what you do is you do that energetic wave thing. You close your eyes and you see yourself as wave energy. And you see whatever they're spewing at you, just see it go right through you like a wave energy. So you're not holding on to it. See it as I release all of this negative energy that's projected at me. I release it. I'm not holding on to it. So see yourself as wave edge, let it go through. And say to yourself, I choose not to be bothered by this. I choose not to be bothered by this because you can only be bothered by what you allow to be bothered. So it's a choice that we each have. Now, these are tools to allow to see that energy being, you just see it go through you, bypass you, through you. Because often, especially if you're empathic, you can hold on to it. You can hold on to that energy because you've absorbed it, but you've held on to it. You want to make sure it's removed from yourself. What about strangers who ask for help to buy food or buy them like strangers in the streets? Stop me asking for food. I am left in a dilemma. Yeah. So this is what I would say. My sister, who's the most compassionate person, and she really doesn't have any money, she always gives them whatever she has, if it's a dollar, $2. And she knows that they would go out and buy drugs with it. It's not like she's not aware of that, but she thinks it's her duty to just even, give that money. It's her godly duty. It's her spiritual duty to help others, because they're so lost. And she knows that they'll probably use it for drug, alcohol, whatever, right? She knows that. And she has made peace with that. And so what it is this is that if you know if you are fully aware, and some people say that's wrong because you're enabling their drug use or their alcohol use. So some people would have a lot of problems with what my sister is doing. It's about where your moral compass is. Instead of donating to that person, if you feel really uncomfortable giving it to that homeless person or whatever on the street, then maybe donate some money to a nonprofit organization that you know that you vetted. Make sure you vet the nonprofit organizations and then they're not, a scam. That to an organization that does really feed the homeless. You might want to take that approach. So that's a balance that you're still helping them, but you're helping them in a way that feels more comfortable to you. Because yes, it is uncomfortable when somebody comes up to you, a stranger, and that asks you, right? It could feel like, oh God, I feel uncomfortable. I don't know what to do. I feel unsafe. So maybe that's the way to do it is to donate some money to an organization that you know is truly serving these people. And so that way you're compassionate, but it doesn't put you in an uncomfortable situation. And if you refuse, if you, and I would play it by the situation. I generally would rather donate money to an organization than stop and give, because I don't know the stranger might have a weapon. I don't know. So I want to keep myself more safe because I don't know if the stranger has a weapon or whatever. So I tend to want to rather do it that way. Okay. Okay, you're welcome, Najir. I'm glad that you're going to take this approach. Okay, so if there's no other questions, let's recap about what this session is about. We're talking about how to harmonize and balance the opposite parts of you, the I Ching calls the opposing energy. And that it's not really opposing, it's really the yin and yang energies, where when you have these seemingly opposing energies come together, it really comes into balance. And the key here is, how do I practice these opposing energies in my life? How do I apply it? And as you apply the yin energy in the right situation, you get great results. But in some situations, you might need to apply more of the opposing energy, the yang, and you will get good results. So it's about understanding the situation and looking at every situation individually and say, I need to be more yang in this situation, or I need to be more yin in this situation. And when you apply that, you're actually exercising both energies. And when you're exercising both energies, you're actually bringing it more into harmony. So, like I said, the opposites of you are really not opposite, they're really in harmony and in balance. So, thank you so much for joining. So, let's do a closing prayer now. Dear God, angel, spirit guides, send message, divine prayer. Thank you so much for allowing us to open the sacred space on the topic of how to bring the opposite sides of us, each one of us, into balance and harmony. Thank you so much for guiding all of these beautiful souls to their opposite energies and how they can optimize it by applying opposite energies in the right situation for better results in their life. So thank you so much for continuing to guide us, continue to show us our highest and best good, continue to light the path for us, continue to send us wisdom, continue to removing low frequency energies from our lives, continue to protect us from low frequency energies, and most importantly, thank you so much for continuing to show us unconditional love. And so it is. Namaste. Okay, much love and blessings to all of you.